Good evening, everyone. We're still working it out for SHR. I tell you, this is just the way the night's been going, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. Yours truly at the helm, the exceptional one. We aren't actually doing the Exceptional Conservative Show tonight. It's called New Day Black and Red, and what it is really is a spiritual and constitutional viewpoint on the day's issues. And I'm so glad to have you all with me tonight. Dave Milner's in the chat room. Claudia's in the chat room. Mary, my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. You know how it rolls. On New Day Black and Red, the underground professor joins me. And we talk about the issues that normally most people aren't talking about, or the way in which they're talking about. Most of you have been hearing for the past 48 hours that Donald J. Trump is literally behind the 8 ball. 1 week out, about a week and a half out from the election, he's way behind. He doesn't have a team together. How's he going to run the country? And this dude's got like 70 days before he actually gets sworn in. You know what I'm saying? Let it go. We're not going to talk about that kind of stuff. We're going to talk about the stuff that really matters. And tonight we're going to take a look at issues that really matter. President-elect Donald J. Trump, the role of an American president in the Americas. We're going to talk about the Monroe Doctrine, NAFTA and free trade, and how open did our founding fathers leave our border. You got to blame the founding fathers for all of this. You can't blame the Democrats. They did nothing wrong. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we do on a night like this. Hopefully you like the attire that I have. My wife approved of it. So, we have flags over here that you can pledge to if you're watching via the live stream. Mrs. Biggs is watching via live stream and Ustream, and little flags over here. And the reason why we do that is we want you to put your hand over your heart, and we want you to pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Would you please join us in this festive occasion and allow the kids to lead you?
Ready, begin. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There we go. That's how you do it, kids. That's the way. And I recommend highly that you open up your show just like that. Really. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Dave says I look quite professional. The only two people, and everyone knows it, there's only two people that matter when it comes to how I look on the air. They are, of course, Mrs. Biggs, and followed by the bouncer in chief, Mary Brockman. So there you go. So if they say it's okay, then I get to wear it. If they say it's not okay, then I got to take it off. And I'm quite certain some of you all don't want to see that. Dr. Michael Jones is coming on board with us tonight. And in fact, let's bring him on board. Okay. All right. Just like I tell you, it's nothing like, gee, here we go. We got to get this thing installed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick break. Dave says he's opening his next show with juggling. I'm taking a quick break. When I come back from that particular break, we will be talking with none other than Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, who I believe was in a precarious meeting at the North Pole with none other than President-elect Donald J. Trump. Something about Christmas lists. We'll be right back.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for a free trial today. So let's sing it one more time. There's more to Prime.
Meet Jason. He was really excited to start growing his business with social media until he realized how complex and time-consuming social media can be. It's difficult to manage multiple social networks and accounts. It's hard to monitor what's happening on social media, follow discussions, and engage with new followers. It's time-consuming to publish updates throughout the day, track and analyze how effective posts are, respond to fans and followers in a timely manner, and gain new customers. The list seems to go on and on. Jason quickly becomes discouraged. How could he ever do all of this and still run a business? He was ready to give up on social media until he found eClincher, the easiest way to manage social media. Jason was amazed how straightforward and simple it is to use eClincher. With eClincher, Jason is now able to leverage the power of social media without having to dedicate several hours a day. He can easily organize all his social media accounts in one place, efficiently plan and schedule his posts ahead of time, engage with his followers, understand the effectiveness of his efforts with powerful analytics, find new customers, and much more. In order to tell your business's story, simplify the process of managing your social media, and analyze results, sign up with eClincher today.
Even when
How's it going? I'm Julian Klenda. This is my son Anthony Klenda. I'm the owner of Maine Lobster now. I grew up in the lobster industry and worked with my father for almost 15 years. My father's company, Klenda Seafood, distributes lobster products to different restaurants and stores locally. I have relatives scattered all over the United States, and they always wanted Maine lobster, but couldn't always make the trip to Maine. So when I was in college, I developed my business plan to distribute lobsters nationwide. I developed an easy-to-use website to simplify the ordering process, to help people out and answer common questions. I've also negotiated shipping rates with different carriers so I can offer a reasonable shipping rate to my customers. We work closely with local businesses, including the Lobster Shack and Two Lights, located in Cape Elizabeth, Maine, Black Point Inn, located on Proud's Neck, in Scarborough, Maine, and the Residence Inn Marriott, located in downtown Portland. At Maine Lobster Now, we use our humane delivery practices to ensure comfortable transit for your lobster. My goal is to deliver the healthiest Maine lobster to your door.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now, I am having the most difficult time connecting with Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor. Welcome to New Day Black and Red with the peon in chief, the exceptional one. The calls keep failing. You know what? I'm going to have to do an emergency action here. Okay, and I pray that this works. I'm just going to have to call Dr. Mike the old-fashioned way. Quite frankly, I don't understand how at a time when I'm doing my show that updates are being done. I don't. Ladies and gentlemen, many of you all know that you can't cook. Yet, you're going to try to go out and get a turkey and everything else. Let me tell you what you should do. Just go to the front page of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Scroll down until you see Maine Lobster. Order your lobster tails and everything else. Have it delivered to you. And that way, all you have to do is warm it, and you're ready to rock and roll. You'll look like an absolute genius on that particular day. No, it ain't turkey, but you know what? It's still good. Order your lobster fresh today. Now, Let us call Dr. Michael Jones. Here we go. Hopefully this works tonight. If it doesn't, well, it's par for my course. And my course is a very large one. So had a very fascinating week this week. And so hoping
If
it
this
was
is Joe Biden messing with me, that's enough.
This is the peon in chief, Professor.
Oh, I thought it was Joe Biden again. He does this like at 2 o'clock. He butt dials me when he's drunk.
Dr. Michael Jones is with us this particular evening. Good evening, sir. It's a great honor and privilege to have you on New Day Black and Red, the show that gives you a spiritual as well as a constitutional point of current affairs. Did you like that?
And the only show where your guest usually shows up.
Oh! Payback!
Even when he doesn't show up for his own show because I'm boycotting the underground professor.
This was the one night I was going to actually tune in and listen to your program.
I know that's right. You would absolutely not believe the week that I have been having. I'm going to talk about it on Sunday's show, and I'm going to do Sunday's show no matter what because I have to. I need a cathartic release. But I am just amazed at how many people are out there trying to swindle and steal from you and to take your stuff.
Is this government or non-governmental?
Well, this is like us trying to get a house or something to rent. And very quickly, I've had people that are listing houses for rent, and they are a scam. They're on legitimate websites.
Mm-hmm.
They're legitimate houses, but they're not legitimate people doing it. In fact, we decided to go and look at one house we were going to rent a second time. The guy said he was from Texas, but he had to go up to Washington, D.C. for business, but he had the keys, and he would overnight them to us if we sent a Western Union check to him to cover the first month's rent and everything.
Yeah.
We decided to go back and look again because there was just some red flag that was listed on me on this, and sure enough, while we were sitting there looking in the windows, the woman who bought the house last January pulled into her driveway. And let me tell you, she was shocked to find 2 white crackers on her front steps looking in her windows. But she handled it very well. It was a nice black lady. We talked to her and told her what was going on. Said, you need to be aware that they're trying to use your house as a scam. So she got mad about it and is going to, pursue it too. But God, I get those kind of people. I hate them. The thing that I absolutely detest are people who prey on others and take their stuff. But what I can't believe is the apartment that we went to, that we signed the contracts and gave them money and registration fees and administration fees, first month's rent, and all that crap, and deposits and stuff, put us into an apartment that was not ready for human habitation. Snag on the wall, hyper-fibers everywhere, dust and dirt everywhere. Laundry room door wouldn't even shut or open. It was swollen. The wood was swollen. Cabinet doors hanging off of their hinges. Air conditioning doesn't work. And when we very politely said, we need these things fixed, they said that someone would be there Monday. Tuesday, we said it again. No one shows up. Wednesday, we say it again. No one shows up. But Wednesday, we pointed out that Addie, as you all know, has lung problems at one time.
Yeah.
And we almost had to take her to the hospital. We had to put her on oxygen. And she almost had to go to the hospital because of the heat. In Texas, we've been having 85-degree heat in the middle of, November here.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a cold day until Saturday night here. It's the first cold weather of the year. But we went and told them this very politely, that, if we didn't get the thing fixed, something was going to be a problem because we're not going to be taking this kid to the emergency room just because they won't send somebody to fix the air conditioner. Well, instead of sending someone to fix the air conditioner, they won't talk to me at all. They I'm the one who signed the lease, but they won't talk to me.
Wow.
They're talking to my girlfriend only. And they told her over the phone she has a 3-day eviction notice that they're giving her right then and there. And they're keeping all of our money. And they said that we fraudulently filled out the paperwork. And this is Lofton Place Apartments, if anybody wants to know. I'll give you the corporate stuff and all the information on my show. But they are going to steal our money and try and evict us for fraud when they instructed us to only list people on the application that were 18 or over.
Yeah.
And so we did what we were told. And now they're saying that we were fraudulently doing this, and they're evicting us over it, and they're going to keep all our money. And there's not a whole hell of a lot we can do. So I get these scoundrels that are out there trying to steal your money by people that are gullible and too stupid to, check things out. I don't get when an apartment complex management staff can do this and get away with it, simply because they're afraid that people like us will file complaints if they don't get the work done that they promised to get done. Who puts somebody in an apartment in Texas without air conditioning?
Exactly. Exactly.
But and I told them, I said, look, you give me all my money and we'll walk away. We can just say, it didn't work and we'll go. But they look at me like I grew a third eye. And that's what I've been doing all day, messing with that. And I'm fit to have a heart attack. I am so angry.
Wow.
Over this.
Have you spoken? Have you spoken with the Superior Court in your county or in your city?
We haven't got that level yet, but I can promise you, I'm going to run their billable hours up way beyond whatever money they thought they were going to get out of me or keep. I need somebody like White Mama to come represent me pro bono because we just don't have the money.
Yeah.
To have lawyers, but the thing is this shouldn't be legal to do this. I mean, for things like this, if you evict somebody, then it should be in writing, not over the phone, and not to just somebody on the lease instead of the leaseholder. And you shouldn't be able to refuse to talk to the leaseholder. And they actually called the cops on me. I was standing there trying to get them to give me the corporate information because the manager won't come to the office anymore in fear of me being there. And so she's gone for a week. We've been given a 3-day eviction notice, and the manager won't even be there until after Thanksgiving. And so what the hell are we supposed to do? Who are we supposed to talk to? Everybody else has been given a gag order. They're not allowed to talk to me. And so they won't. And I'm sitting here trying to get the information. I recorded my conversation with them, and so is Megan. It's just incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But they actually went into another room that had glass windows and doors, right? And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? So I go and knock on it, and they run away from the door, and I watch them run away from the door and go to the other side of the room. I'm thinking, what the hell is this? So I opened up the door and said, can I please have the corporate phone number? And she calls the cops and says there's a big, huge white guy trying to hurt me. I'm afraid for my life. So she calls the cops on.
Wow.
And I'm being polite. I'm being, but I'm not going to be treated like a piece of crap.
Now, what is the name? What's the name of this apartment complex again?
Lofton Place Apartments on East Chase Parkway over in Fort Worth.
Okay.
If anybody wants to boycott or call up and bitch at the corporate headquarters, I have been giving all that information out on my show. Sunday, I'm going to put it on my website and Facebook and Twitter. In hopes that somebody out there that listens to this show or our shows will do me a favor and start bitching and calling and complaining. We're going to contact the Better Business Bureau. We got a hold of somebody in human resources over at the corporate headquarters out of Florida. But talking to a human being is tough. I've left messages after messages, and I've not gotten any response from corporate. Megan got a hold of somebody, but it's the people that are in charge of college dorm rentals or whatever, and for college kids. But they're pissed, and they're helping us navigate corporate for that anyway. But I mean, can you just believe that they think they can steal all of our money and kick us out simply because we asked for the air conditioning to be fixed?
Exactly. Have you spoken?
What kind of world are we living in?
Have you spoken with the West Texas Legal Aid Society?
No, we're going to.
Yeah, because I'm gonna tell people who are listening to tonight's show who are in the Fort Worth area. I would tell you, if you're having problems like this, especially at the Lofton Place Apartments in Fort Worth, Texas, and their address for the Lofton Place Apartments is 1601 East Chase Parkway, Fort Worth, Texas 76120. They have some beautifully pictured apartments, but when you get there, it's nothing like what you see on the website.
They're nice. Yeah, they're just not maintained, or
Exactly.
They're starting to get to that point where they're falling apart.
Exactly. So they're misrepresenting.
$150 a month for a one bedroom.
Yeah. So we're not talking about they lied. We're just saying they made misrepresentations. And when you brought when you actually brought it to their attention, was it in writing?
Well, we filled out the move-in form.
Okay.
Yeah, they have that.
Yeah. So
whatever they call it. Yeah.
So in writing, you did notify them of the concerns that you had before you were to move into it, and the expectation would be that those matters would be resolved before you moved in.
We were given an oral contract that they would be fixed Monday.
Exactly.
And that we did not have to worry, and then they breached it. Let me give you this as an example, Ken. Megan went down 4 times to ask for the air conditioner to be fixed at the office. 4 times. I told her, go up there and get a copy of all the work orders. I want to get a copy of all the work orders, and so that when we go to court, we'll be able to present it.
Mm-hmm.
She goes there to do this, and the people, the lady that she was dealing with, her name is Tammy. She's the black lady that's the racist that doesn't like me because I'm white, I guess. And so she.
Well, did you tell him? Did you tell her that you did the show with the #2 urban conservative?
I told him. I said, "You wait. You don't." I said, Benjamin Franklin has warned people not to pick fights with those who buy ink by the barrel. And I said, "Lady, I've got a radio show. I've got ink by the barrel." But so the Megan gets requests the work orders, and the woman is in there typing away on the keyboard, and if you listen to the audio that Megan recorded of it, she says, "What's taking so long for you to print up the work orders?" And she's watching her, and she said, "You're changing information on the computer." So this woman actually went in there and subtracted 3 of the work orders and printed out 1 work order, and said that was the only one that we did, and it was done on Wednesday. So, I mean, they're lying. They're changing the facts in the computers. And I'm thinking, who does this?
Exactly.
They weren't going to do it until we went and asked for the work orders, and then they went, oh, crap, he's got documentation he can use against us. So they went in there and they changed the documents. Nothing you can say or do. And,
Exactly.
Now, if anybody looks at it, it's our word against theirs. The only thing that we have now is the fact that Megan is there on tape saying, wait, you're changing this data. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. I'm watching you. No, I'm not. And that's their 3rd grade level arguments with everything they give us. And now they're saying we're lying. Let me tell you something, kid. When we went to look at those apartments, we told them we were consolidating 2 families and moving them into an apartment temporarily, and then we were going to get a house together.
Yeah.
That was what we told them. That was the reason.
Mm-hmm.
The kids were with us. All 3 of the girls and Megan and myself went there to look at the apartment. Went to go see the model. The lady that showed us, Tammy, showed us the model. And the kids were with us. When we signed the paperwork, the kids were with us. When we went to go check out the apartment to move into it, the kids were with us. In fact, they were like piranha running around eating raw meat in that apartment. Crazy, screaming little girls. They were so happy that this was the nicest place they've ever been. And they could not believe how beautiful it was.
Mm-hmm.
And now these people are saying they had no idea we had kids. That we kept that a secret from them, and that we fraudulently filled out the paper.
Wow. Now, I want you all to know. I want you all to know that I used to be a housing counselor, so I kind of understand exactly the.
When you sat around the house, though, counseling, didn't you really sit around the house?
Man, I sat all over the house. I was around it, in it, out it. I was a big chief. So first and foremost, and in any court in America, they cannot discriminate against you because of your children. Number one. That
well,
is.
Saying that we have too many people for a one-bedroom apartment. That's
Well,
what they're trying to do now.
well, yeah, you do actually, but they shouldn't be able to discriminate against you because of the children themselves. There might be statutes within the city limits that says that per square foot.
Fair housing thing.
Yeah.
To us now.
Exactly. That there's a
But
requirement.
you know what? They should have told us that when we came to rent a one-bedroom apartment. And you know what else they did? They told us that it had a breakfast nook, and that if we wanted to use it as an office instead of a breakfast nook, or put a bed there, that would be just fine. Because they said they have lots of people who do that in their apartments.
So did they?
A tiny little bedroom.
Did they offer you? Did they offer you a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom?
No, but they didn't have any that we could afford that was available.
Yeah.
They had some of the big ones, you know, that were, you know, $1,500 a month, but they didn't have any of the ones that were $800-900 a month.
Exactly. Now,
But,
in
you
this.
know what? It's 3 girls, 3, 5, and 8, so they all share a bunk bed. And then there's Megan. I've got living there, and so it's 4 women living in one big. And this bedroom is as big as most of my, half of my house. I mean, this is a huge bedroom.
Yeah.
And so there's plenty of room for them. And then they've got the nook for breakfast, and they've got the living room for living rooming, and they've got this huge walk-in closet and a bathroom. Now, is it ideal? No, I would prefer a 3-bedroom, but but that's $1,500-1,800 a month. And so we thought, okay, they can live like this. We'll get 3 or 4 months, but then we'll get a year, and then that way we'll have plenty of time to save up money and go get a nice place. And so we're trying to do this right. We're up front. We tell them everything. And because we did that, they're using that information against us now, knowing from the very beginning that this was the case. And so I suspect that this was a fraud from the beginning, that they put us in a piece of crap apartment for us to get pissed off at, and then they get rid of us, and they keep the money. And I suspect that may be a scam there.
No, well,
Also, I happen to know several people there have too many people in their apartments. And so, if we have to go to court, I'm going to request an actual physical audit of every apartment, because if they allow one apartment there with too many people, then they're violating my 14th Amendment rights of equal protection under law.
Yeah. Yeah, but here goes the scenario as well, and I'm going to encourage, if you're in the Fort Worth area, I'm going to recommend, if you're having issues like this with your apartment as a landlord-tenant issue, that you get in contact with the West Texas Legal Services, 600 East Weatherford Street, Fort Worth, Texas, 76102. Their telephone number is 817-336-3943. How long were you all in the apartment?
We moved in last weekend.
Okay. And in the agreement, did the security deposit go away if they canceled the agreement?
My security deposit was waived because my credit was good.
Okay. And so they took a month of rent from you.
I gave them a prorated upfront month, so like $6.95 or something like that.
Yeah.
A $75 administration fee, and I don't know. It came out to a total of $225 for an application and admin fee, and then the $6.95 first month rent.
Wow. So they got their whole month virtually off of this particular deal.
And we'll be there a week. If we leave within the 3 days that they told us to, which means we have to leave Saturday.
So I'm going to be very earnest with you. I'm going to encourage you tomorrow morning to get in contact with the West Texas Legal Services so that they can review the matter based on the laws within your city limits and the boundaries of the fair housing laws. The room situation may be the reason, but they should not have entered into a contract with you nor taken any of your money if they knew for a fact that they were above the code, breaking code violations to get you into an apartment. It's just that simple. And so, at the very minimum,
kids are pretending they had no clue about the kids. They look you right in the eye and they lie that they've never seen the kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I explained to you how the kids were everywhere, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're lying. And bald-faced lying. I asked her, I said, how do you sleep at night? She goes, oh, I sleep fine at night. And I said, well, I guess because of the criminal element, you can't. People who can do this to other people. But they're actually acting like we're criminals and we defrauded them and they had the high road. And I just blows my mind. This is so much like my ex-wife and what she did,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and how she operated. And it's just so frustrating. I can't even think straight.
Exactly. Now, Texas, I know that in Georgia, landlord-tenant arrangements are much different than in Washington, D.C. or maybe New York. I know in very liberal cities like Washington, D.C., and maybe even in Dallas itself, not necessarily Fort Worth, but in Dallas, there's a leniency towards the tenant versus the landlord. And as such, I've known people who were able to stay in apartments for 6 or 7 months without paying rent here in D.C.
That's coming over those figures. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, I might do a show on just this landlord-tenant thing. I'm pretty sure I could squat for 6 months and not pay him anything until I leave. Exactly. So, well, depending. Now, Dallas might be different from Fort Worth.
I'm in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I know.
And I've heard a lot of renters that are on my mail routes that complain that it takes them 4 to 6 months to get rid of somebody. But that's a house. I don't know how the apartments would go.
Exactly.
And, you know, and if they went there and said I was violent, which they're claiming that they were in fear of their life from the big scary white guy that looks like Santa Claus, you know, they may expedite it if that's the case.
No, that was their reasoning for basically getting you off the property premises. And because they knew that you would not leave until you had a matter resolved, and they had no intention of resolving it. So often they will call the police and have them enter into that relationship just to clear you off the premises and put a fear in you that you're not going to be able to win against them. But I would sincerely advise you to get in contact with West Texas Legal Services tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when they open. Discuss with them your predicament and see exactly what can be done to intercede for you. Or at least, at the very least, I would expect that you'll be able to get your prorated month back, or at least a prorated portion.
I don't know if I said this already, but I went there. I said, look, if you give me the money that I gave you, we'll walk away. Pretend this never happened. And they looked at me like I had a third eye. I mean, they literally looked at me like I was sprouting, you know, tentacles and stuff in front of them. And I've never seen that before from somebody like this. I mean, so this is what I'm saying. I think they were dead set on still in our money from the beginning. And they knew what was going on, and this is why they instructed us to do what we did, you know, because they told both of us, only list adults that are 18 or over.
Yeah.
And so I think they were fine with it until they found out that we had a kid that had medical problems, which would mean that they would have to do the things they have to do, like fix the air conditioner. They actually sent somebody, and he replaced the Freon in it, and it's still not working.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. I mean, but that's par for the course. These entities don't have an interest because it's not financially profitable for them to do that. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come back. And in this segment, before we get to talking about what a president-elect in the Americas should be like, we're going to finish talking about housing rights, landlord-tenant rights, and I might just do a whole show on it coming up soon. But you're listening. No. This is no, Professor. This is very vital, and God has a way of anointing us in a fashion where we can talk about issues that really matter to people. And quite frankly, when it comes to landlord-tenant scenarios and situations, you got to be knowledgeable of what's going on. White Mamba is in there. God bless you, sir. Glad to have you here tonight. But if you don't know what the laws are, they will take full advantage of you. They're hoping, just like used car dealers, when they're selling you a car, hoping you're so desperate as to need to be in a place. And most people, whether it's a car because their car broke down and they need to get another one right away, or their house, or they've been kicked out of their mama's house, so they got to move into an apartment building that fits within their budget.
That happened to me.
Yeah.
That happened to me this week. I can't go to the basement anymore.
Yeah. So you got to be very careful. Also, I've done a show about credit counseling. You want to make certain when you're doing landlord-tenant arrangements that the party who's actually going to be living in the place is the person who's a signee of it, because that enters into other issues as well. So I apparently God's been telling me I need to go back and do a whole week's worth of these financial things. And I may be doing that at the end of this month. Get away from politics altogether. Talk about real life issues on the Exceptional Conservative Show. But you're listening to New Day Black and Red with a great host, Dr. Michael Jones, who is the Underground Professor. You can find him at undergroundprofessor.us. And his peon-in-chief, the exceptional one, Ken McClelton, who is with the Exceptional Conservative Show. We will be right back after these wonderful commercials that I put together just for the professor because he loves them so much.
Oh, I hope it's infused.
The best late night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude.
Radio.
Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude.
Radio.
The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant. And today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh with ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, and our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused beef burger. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce, we start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burger, and we're going to grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, baby. If that's, I forgot. Oh my. I won't have another New Day until next Thursday, Thanksgiving. But I didn't bring the hamburger from Infuse so that I could eat it right in front of my very good friend Dave Milner, the unpleasant blind guy. I had planned on eating it right in front of him, right as that. But such is life. I want to thank everybody also who's listening to us on Red Nation Rising. God bless you. Peace. Bottom line is, I know that you all are getting ready to leave us. And I thank you all so much for listening on the Liberty Channel at 2 a.m. But we're going to carry on in our conversation with the professor, Dr. Michael Jones, regarding some landlord-tenant issues. And I've decided that on the last week of this month, I'm just going to be doing financial shows. I will not be talking about politics unless it has something to do with finance. But we'll be doing financial shows in the last week. We'll talk about credit. We'll talk about college. We'll talk about landlord-tenant. We'll talk about foreclosure that whole particular week. So stay tuned. I'm putting that together. Also, I want to thank those who are listening to us on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Media. Dan the Man Butcher doing a wonderful job there, and also Sean at Sackheads Radio, SHR Media. They carry us live, and we're very appreciative of it. Actually, the Exceptional Conservative Show is number 2 ranked. New Day Black and Red is 18th. And SHR ranking for an American Conservative's Exploration of the Inspired Word of God is 19th. So we're climbing every single week thanks to you all. Keep learning, keep listening, keep tuning in, and send this show out to other people so other people can join in and listen to us. Professor, Mamba is in the chat room. Mamba is a great lawyer, and we forgive him. But Mamba says... He's recovering. He says, yep, I've also sent my own share of certified letters, notices of intent to vacate, and deposit checks for less than the full amount I was due back to get results I wanted. Very true. Ken knows how the game is played. They often bank on the fact that most people don't pursue remedies. Good legal aid, if you can get it in a timely fashion, sees this type of stuff all the time. So what we have here is a situation where the landlord or whoever their representative was understood the predicament of the couple and the children as they were looking for an immediate place to stay. I'm concerned about some full fair housing issues as well, as they were talking about the children, because normally you don't even want to bring them up when you're talking to parents. But the simple fact of the matter, there was a request for a 1-bedroom, and they were knowledgeable at the time that the matter was being considered, or the apartment was being considered, that there were 3 children involved, along with a young mother. And the signee would be the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones. And the unfortunate thing is that during the time period that they were being shown the property, they denoted that there were some issues with the property that would need to be corrected. Now, I'm going to tell you all, when you fill out that form that notifies them of the fact that there is problems with the property, do not put any money down until they have resolved the property issue, because it's very tough once you've gotten in there for them to remedy it. They don't want to. Their great desire is for you to stay in there, whine and complain, and keep paying them on a timely basis with the threat that they're going to throw you on the street. So in this particular situation, there may have been some misrepresentations on the side of the landlord, because the couple and the 3 kids was present here. They were extended the offer of a 1-bedroom, which is naturally against fair housing regulations at the federal level. There might be some quid pro quo at the local or city limits per se, but that's something that has to be looked at. But the bottom line is that 4 people cannot stay in a 1-bedroom. You normally will need at least 2 bedrooms. 2 persons per bedroom. So in this particular case, no matter how large the master is, there is a stickler about that particular issue. They were erroneous in providing the offer. And so what they're trying to do is cover their gluteus maximus by eliminating, first and foremost, the fact that there were issues that were brought out by the couple and the kids, to the fact that there were children, and they erroneously put those children in a 1-bedroom. Then, in order to not collect a security deposit, they added certain administrative fees, which I think were well above board in terms of what the expected. $225 worth of administration fees. What do you do, writing the Magna Carta? I don't think so. So the bottom line is that there are some... Yeah, discount the Declaration of Independence. We're rewriting it. So literally, there's some issues here with landlord-tenant, and the professor is world-renowned. So to come on the air and actually be able to say the name of the company, which in this particular case happens to be Lofton Place Apartments at 1601 East Chase Parkway, Fort Worth, Texas 76120, where they have some magnanimous pictures, and I think I put this in the chat room for people to see. Beautiful pictures with fireplaces and things of that particular nature. And when you get there, you get an apartment that's 600 square feet for, well, 691 square feet based on the advisement of the professor in terms of having the large master. It is going for somewhere in the area of $775 to $830 a month. $830, there you go. So they knew that this young woman needed to be put into a property, which means that they're salivating to try to get you in so that they can meet certain goals. There are certain requirements of bonuses that they get for renting properties out and making sure the property is full by the end of the month as well. So there are lots of things that are going on in the landlord-tenant marketplace. The important thing is that, first and foremost, no money leaves your hand until everything has been done to satisfy you. Number one. Number two, whenever you sign the document, make certain that it is poignantly clear all the members who will be in that particular household, and that it was extended to you the exact property. Now, any person who's going to extend to you a 1-bedroom after they put you on the tour of the property and you got 3 kids, there's a malfeasance here. Error is one in which, oops, I didn't know you had a kid, but you still qualify for the 1-bedroom. That's an error. Malfeasance is when you know that there are 3 kids and you're trying to stuff 4 people into a 1-bedroom so you can fill out the whole the whole apartment complex. And then lastly, very key, always make certain that before you approach the landlord's office with any issue and problem that they refuse to deal with in a proper and prompt manner. Once you have given them every opportunity and they refuse, make your first call to a legal services organization to help you in terms of understanding best next steps. And then if you feel, and if you know, well, not just feel, but if you know for a fact that someone has advantaged you in this particular process, your next phone call should be down to the Superior Court that handles landlord-tenant matters, and let them know that you are completely and totally, upset with this particular process, and that you feel that you're being misled, misrepresented, and funds taken from you. If you do those things, you'll be in right order. Now, I am not an attorney. I'm a former housing counselor. There's an attorney actually in the chat room right now. But based on this, I will give you the advice on where to go to get the good advice and the legal advice. And you should be able to rock and roll from there. Thank you, Professor. That was very poignant.
West Texas Legal Aid is on Beach Street, evidently. I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just around the corner from my house. How ironic.
There you go. If you really want to put the fear of God in them, make sure that you go there tomorrow morning and you talk with them. I'm quite certain, very certain, that they might have a different outlook and might be able to find, you know, that apartment, that 2-bedroom. Yeah, it's all of a sudden become available. There you go.
Yeah. Well, you know, if they had said that, Ken, if they'd have said, "Oh, wait a minute, that's too many people here for this," we would have said, "Well, what do we have to have?" And then we would have gotten what we had to have. And we just asked them to put us in the cheapest thing that we could get, you know, for what we needed. And the 1-bedroom wasn't going to be fun for them, but, you know, they were willing to suck it up until we could do it. We had no clue. You know, I'm an expert in so many things, but I'm not an expert in housing or apartments. I haven't lived in an apartment since Reagan was running for office and you know, for president. So I'm not up on all this crap. But it pisses me off that these people who are responsible for this should know it. You know, are the ones that are taking advantage of us.
Yeah.
And then to run around and pretend that they had never known. That just
yeah, because they're violations of the fair housing laws that are taking place based on what you're describing. And those are heavy fines. And they don't want to lose their job before Christmas. Let me just put it that way.
Megan thinks that because she said if something happened to her kid, there'd be complications and repercussions. I think, as she thinks that this is why they're doing this. If they didn't care how many people are in that apartment, but when they thought, oh, this could be a problem if she takes, you know, if she gets legal action involved with her kid, then they'll be exposed for what they did. And she thinks that that's why they're pretending to have never known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what has caused all this to happen.
But I want you to know, Professor, because I've had some experience in financial counseling and home counseling and budget and all that kind of stuff. And I used to help run the city of Washington's financials. You know, you can always call me. My phone is always open and available to you, Professor.
When you answer it.
Oh!
Always open. I'll give you that. You're not lying. It's always open.
You can call me. I'll be there.
It would make a great song.
But there you go.
I also took pictures left and right.
Great.
Doing this. For the entrance, before we accepted, I walked around, took pictures of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I told him, I said, look, I had pictures of you with the girls. So when you go to court and say you had no idea that we had girls, how are you going to justify that?
They can't.
And they looked at me and went, we're right. But they looked at me like I was an idiot.
No.
And I'm thinking, people, I've been in combat. I was married to the devil herself. You know, and I've got 3 PhDs. Do they really think I'm the one they want to fight this with?
I think part of that was, oh my God, we've just broken a fair housing law. Oh my God, I got to do whatever I can. And that's how you, ladies and gentlemen, if you all think that Hillary Rodham Clinton didn't know what she was doing when they were bleach biting her computer, you could just take this lesson right here to know people know when they've done something wrong. Fair housing law fines and violations are very severe to the landlord. And they also open the door for other people on the complex to sue in mass quantity. So they don't want that kind of activity. They don't want this stuff to get out to the American. They don't want that kind of attention. What they want is for you to go away. They'll give you a couple of ducats and you go about your business. But you might have a fair housing issue right here, especially when you have photographs of them having done this to you. It's simply amazing. I just don't say it.
The recordings that Megan made while she was trying to resolve this, 3 other people come in to complain that they're not getting any of the maintenance work that they requested. 3 other tenants. So that means at least 4 units there have been sitting there begging for help and being ignored over multiple days. And you're thinking, you know, you would think it would be cheaper for these idiots to fix the air conditioning units and whatever else is broken instead of doing these games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think that's amusing to a small degree.
Well, I think that you got them over a barrel. When you go down there tomorrow morning to the West Texas Legal Services Group, they should be able to talk with you about landlord-tenant issues, about eviction requirements and things of that particular nature, about the whole idea of repairs and making sure that they are done in a timely manner in accordance with what your lease agreement is. So there are a number of ramifications for the entity if they have not done the right thing. And I just want to put Lofton Place on notice right now. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to get yourself together because your front office is putting you in great jeopardy with putting 4 people in a 1-bedroom. It should not have even lasted a day. That is definitely a fair housing law violation. Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we will be talking about what an American president should look like, be like in the Americas. We'll be talking about the Monroe Doctrine, NAFTA, and a few other things. And in fact, did our founding fathers open the borders for us? Or is this something relatively new? We'll also take a little spiritual viewpoint, not little, but we'll take in a little while, we'll take a spiritual viewpoint on the issues of being an American president. With that said, we'll be right back with more of the best of New Day Black and Red with your great host, the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, and his sidekick, the great peon, who is allowed 1 question per segment.
Per segment.
Per segment.
Unless there's a commercial run. I think we have to have a new rule.
A new rule?
That if there's a segment with a commercial, that half a question is removed.
So literally, I only have 1 full question. It's normally during the 4th quarter of our program when I have to talk.
Yeah. You rounded up all your shows, you get like a question a month.
I no longer have any questions. We'll be back right after these messages. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, it is the holiday season. Black Friday, power to the people.
Hey. No, we're not doing that.
We're not doing that. Okay.
No, that's like on Martin Luther King Day when Macy's has a white cell on sheets.
Just in time for the holiday.
Free embroidered holes for your face if you buy a set.
There you go.
Honestly, Martin Luther King Day and they have a white cell on sheets. You guys are already getting gypped with the shortest month of the year.
Exactly. You know? It's the only month that we're able to actually study our own race. It's amazing. Limited.
Do you know the price of chicken lips is going up since Trump got elected?
Chicken lips. Oh.
Yeah. Holy hell! It's like the peso. It's in free fall.
Times they're just getting real bad. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to go shopping this holiday season on the front page of the Exceptional Conservative Show, and also order your undergroundprofessor.us T-shirt from undergroundprofessor.us. We'll be right back.
So what do you think about ebooks? Maybe you've never read an ebook before, but you're considering giving it a try. Or maybe you've been reluctant to try ebooks because you don't want to buy another expensive electronic device. Or maybe you already enjoy ebooks, but you haven't been able to find titles from your favorite Christian authors. Whatever your situation, ChristianBook.com has the solution. Your trusted source for print books for over 30 years now offers ebooks. Our always free CBD reader allows you to read on the devices you already own without spending money on a new device. Thousands of Christian ebooks at ChristianBook.com means you can shop with confidence and choose from the titles you want. Plus, we are adding new titles all the time. Browse our huge selection of low-priced Christian ebooks the same way you would printed books. Only now you can go from shopping to reading in seconds. Simply select the ebook you wish to purchase, confirm your account information, and start reading. Free samples of every ebook are available, so you can preview the book first before you buy it. Plus, there's no lengthy app downloads and updates. Accessing the CBD Reader is as easy as going to cbdreader.christianbook.com and bookmarking the page. The CBD Reader holds your ebooks and bookmarks for you, no matter what device you're on. So, you can take your entire ebook library wherever you go and pick up right where you left off. Our customizable options make it possible to read your ebooks in different font sizes and styles. Want a large print version? You've got it in seconds with a simple click of the mouse. Already own a dedicated e-reader? Download your ebooks to your computer from your christianbook.com account and transfer them to your device. Try ebooks at christianbook.com and start reading your favorite books in seconds. Easy, economical, everywhere you want to read. Welcome to christianbook.com ebooks.
With home values up and interest rates near all-time lows, you probably know that now is a great time to refinance, like the Johnsons, who save $436 a month.
$436 a month?
It's simple. Just go to lendingtree.com, compare loan offers for free, and see how much you could save in just 5 minutes.
I thought you said the bank gave you the best rate.
Yeah.
Lending Tree. When banks compete, you win.
I have to do everything myself.
Make sure she says yes with this beautiful engagement ring. Expertly crafted in 14-karat white gold with an alluring design. Featuring breathtaking diamonds. Get a unique piece designed just for you with our huge selection of stunning gems and precious metals. Order now and receive free insured shipping. Find your perfect jewel today at alores.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe for Reaver Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. It's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you back to New Day Black and Red, live from the nation's capital and Fort Worth, Dallas, Texas, home of the Cowboys, which lead the NFC East. Unfortunately,
it doesn't just lead it, it commands it.
It leads it. It leads. That's all it is. It's just a lead. Yeah, you're only 3 games ahead of the Redskins.
Our team is so good, our backup quarterback's Tony Romo.
Well, actually, he's been playing like a backup all the years he's been in Dallas. But I'm just saying.
Oh my God! I'll tell you what, though. I'm telling you what. Tony Romo did us proud as a citizen, a patriot, and a cowboy with his conference about how he was nipping this stuff in the bud, that he wasn't going to be a distraction, that he is going to be the backup, that Dak has a hot hand, and that he is, prepared for his role for this season, but he's not done, and he's going to come back. And I thought, that's fantastic,
Yeah.
Too many people get up there and they whine, and it's all about them, and, it's not fair, this or that. And I'm thinking, this is amazing how, as a gentleman and, as a team member, what he did. And know, and I'm thinking, when's the last time you saw that?
Yeah. He had a great deal of elegance and grace. And let's just be honest, he's in the last year of his contract with Dallas. He's probably going to end up somewhere, maybe even Jacksonville next year.
Yeah, if that finishes and we're in the playoffs, then I imagine Tony Romo gets traded.
Yeah.
But Jones has a love affair of Tony Romo, so there's a lot there, you know, that they'll have to get by.
Exactly.
For him, but yeah.
Yeah, but I don't see another loss on their board until they come to Washington. I mean, we go down to Dallas. You know. Yeah.
You're going down in Dallas, buddy.
No. We're visiting for a victory. I just want you to know that.
Oh, is that what you meant?
That's what I meant.
Going down. Yeah.
You're listening to the Underground Professor, Dr. Michael Jones, who is the host of UndergroundProfessor.us on Blog Talk Radio and SHR Media. And, of course, the peon-in-chief, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. You can watch via YouTube, Ustream, live stream. You can also hear on SHR, High Place Pundit Media, and as well Red Nation Rising. Professor, this whole concept of the Monroe Doctrine is a concern for me.
Well, you know, it's kind of old, and it was created by dead white guys. I don't know why you're worried about it.
I am such a racist, a wasist, a W-A-S-I-T. Oh, forgive me, Elmer Fudd. Something like that. According to the Monroe Doctrine, we're supposed to protect the Americas from intervention from outside forces, specifically Europe.
The Monroe Doctrine specifically is that any intervention by an external power in the politics of America will be considered a hostile act of war against America. So it's not, you know, like, it's like the Cuban Missile Crisis is an example. The crap, you know, during World War II, you remember the Hitler's secret letter to Mexico to betray America? Things like that would fall under the Monroe Doctrine, or maybe even Putin getting involved with the U.S. elections here.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we don't get involved in elections all over the planet, screw with them, but this is America, and we don't have to live by the same rules we enforce.
Now, didn't this administration suspend the Monroe Doctrine?
There is consideration of that because, you know, Monroe set this up as our justification for kicking someone's ass for screwing with us in our hemisphere. And we've used it. You know, Roosevelt used it big time. You know, the war, you know, little wars that we had down there in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
But this president went on an apology tour, if you recall, as soon as he was elected. And so there's a lot of people that say the Monroe Doctrine has been ignored and not suspended because of that.
Exactly. And this administration also practiced intervention in Israeli politics in their fight to get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu through the State Department funding organizations inside of Israel to virtually what is it with when you're going for an election to politic, to politic against Benjamin Netanyahu. So we've been practicing that art form of involving ourselves. Why are the Democrats so upset that maybe, because we know it's not Russia, maybe Russia was attempting to help Donald Trump?
Well, okay, look, true with the Israeli elections, and they all lost, by the way. You know, this is something the media does not like to report, but every time Obama gets involved in something, people lose. And, you know, Netanyahu survived, and Obama's people lost over there. But again, I'm saying that in America, we tend to think that we live by a different set of rules than what we enforce. We, being a free country, and with all of our money we give everybody, we think this gives us some kind of rights to screw with every other country. And you know, and to an extent that may be true. If you take our money, then by golly, you know, you might have to also take our rules. This is one of the reasons, like Hillsdale doesn't take any money from the government, federal government, because then the federal government thinks it can go in there and tell it what it has to teach. And so if you apply that same principle at a national level, this is what you're talking about. We give money to these countries, then by God, they better start paying attention to us. And we have a right to mess with them. I'm not so sure I subscribe to that. I'm not a libertarian where I think we ought to be hands-free with the world and ignore it. But on the other hand, I think we shouldn't be involved in nation building or screwing around other countries without a legitimate national security interest. So, yeah, but the Monroe Doctrine, clearly, if it was true that Russia was hacking our computers, if it was true that they were, attempting to influence our election and manipulate it, then I'd say hell's to the yeah, let's go get them. You know, let's do something about this. Now, what could you do? They're a nuclear power. Now, they're not exactly an ally. So we can't really, unless we go to war, which would be just foolish over even this level of intrusion in our lives. There's not a lot we can do other than sanctions and you know, stamp our feet and hit the podium with a shoe or something like Khrushchev does up in the United Nations.
Now, a lot of people don't understand that part of the Monroe Doctrine was a result of our manifest destiny. That we saw.
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that right there?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but there was a theory that was going around in America for a long time that we had manifest destiny. Right?
Yeah.
And that was a call of justification for American intrusion in anybody else's lives that we want. Venezuela, you know. You know, the Marine hymn, you know, the halls of Montezuma, right? You know, so we
Professor
down there to screw with their banks. So, yes, sir.
Professor, I gotta tell you, I love you because there's not very many professors that would just be that blunt.
Well, the idea here was that America had manifest destiny by God, that we were free men, that we had the gifts from God, at the hands of Providence created this country, and that we had a duty to spread freedom around the world. Sadly, we've never really done that. We get involved in nation building and stuff, and we put puppet, you know, governments in, but we have never really established another republic.
Yeah.
And it's not as easily said as done. I mean, I would think it would be great. And if you were a country and you were starving and you didn't have a very high gross national product and your people are rioting and hungry and shortages everywhere, you might look at a constitution and like we have, and you might look at implementing capitalism and freedom because those work when they're implemented. The problem is that most countries have tyrants leading them, and they're not about to give up that power. And when we go and liberate a country, we don't establish a constitutional government and Republican form of it, which, you know, with capitalism. Look at what happened in Iraq. We freed them, and they voted another tyrant. So, even when we had a chance, but the things that we often forget is that most countries aren't prepared to be like us. Now, if they did what we did, then they would be successful because this is what works. This is the human condition. This is It takes human, this is what the Constitution is so brilliant, is it takes our humanity into account, human nature.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't export that. We're not very good examples because we're screwing with that ourselves here and trying to destroy it with the progressive movements in America. I mean, when you have people like Bernie Sanders and the socialists openly running in America now and almost winning, if it hadn't been fixed, they may have very well beat Hillary in the primaries. That doesn't tell the rest of the world that what we're doing is the right thing.
Yeah.
Sadly. But, that's the way that is. Manifest Destiny was thought of as being a God-divine right that we had to spread republicanism around the world. And it justified our actions. It was kind of a Machiavellian thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got involved in other things. Well, to prevent other countries from doing it back to us, we created the Monroe Doctrine along with the Manifest Destiny, saying, hey, just because we're doing that to you, it doesn't exactly mean you can do it to us because God's not on your side. So, boom. And Latin America suffered from this, Cuba and other places, even Texas.
Yeah.
Suffered from these things, and as you know, the border was moved on Texas into America. And when I say Texas, I'm talking about all the way up to Wyoming and Colorado because, Imperial Texas was huge.
Yeah.
And it went almost all the way to California. That's how big it was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say that we should take that land back from the central government and build a wall all around it to keep America out. And sit here in Texas and wait 10 years, and then we could probably buy the rest of y'all back for 10 cents off the dollar.
You probably can do it for better than that. You're listening.
We don't need a southern wall. We need a northern wall.
We're listening tonight to Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor. We're investigating. We have with Donald Trump. We may not be able to finish this tonight.
And that's my fault, everybody. I apologize.
No. It's not. It's because what we're talking about. It's greater than a populist message of America first. It's bigger than that. Because we don't have a foreign policy right now that says America first. We don't have a domestic policy that says America first. And we talked about manifest.
We have a policy that says America to blame first.
Yeah.
And what happened to the Democrats? I thought, you remember Joe Biden get out there and doing that speech about how Obama has a big stick and not realizing, that he was making a penis reference?
Yeah.
But what happened to Roosevelt's big stick policy? That was a continuation of the Monroe Doctrine. It became synonymous with it.
Yeah.
Roosevelt says, carry a big stick and talk softly. But it's kind of like when I went into the office of the apartments today. I know I didn't have to flash a gun or beat anything or bang on the desk because I know my presence was like being a big stick. And so I spoke softly. I spoke politely. And I know I do this because it unnerves people when you're being overly polite, like how a 18th century, congressmen would talk to one another. My dear friend, your servant, sir. That's how I talk. I go into a verbal debate with somebody, and that's because I know what it does to people. It intimidates them better than if you were trying to intimidate them, and that's what Franklin was saying. Franklin Roosevelt, Democrat, and we've lost that. Now, along with the big stick theory and the Monroe Doctrine, we also have the good neighbor policy. Remember, we were supposed to be decent neighbors to these guys, and we pretty much have since then. The Ronald Reagan, there is a, how do I say this? There is a group of professors who think the Monroe Doctrine ended with Ronald Reagan. And I'm not sure that that's true. Okay?
Yeah.
Because Caspar Weinberger redefined the doctrine as saying that there should be no interference, no sponsorship of any kind of military activity in our hemisphere by countries in other hemispheres. Now, he was restating the Monroe Doctrine in my book, and they called that the Reagan Doctrine from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
And you remember the Falkland Wars, when was that, 1980?
Yes. Yes.
85, 83, 82, something like that. The Falkland Wars, Argentina, they tried to reclaim the Malvians, and is that how you say it? I'm not really sure. And so the British were like, whoa, wait a minute, you're not getting the Malvians away from us. So they went to war in the Falklands. It was their version of the Vietnam War, which we were still smarting from ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of all got left away. I mean, the Falklands got it, and Britain went away, and we went away, and we kind of left it. And they're saying that was the death of the Monroe Doctrine or the Reagan Doctrine, because after that we didn't. But, we kept pushing back on Russia and whatnot. George Bush himself didn't push the Monroe Doctrine over Panama. And you remember Manuel Noriega. I was involved, and this is something I don't think I've ever told anybody, but I was involved with us going after Pineapple Head down in Panama. We went after Manuel Noriega, and I was on the EC-130s, and we went down there and jammed all of their, military and government communications, so they couldn't communicate, and we shut them down, and then, the guys went down and got them. Mm-hmm. And so anyway, we didn't invoke the Monroe Doctrine then, but we could have, because that's exactly what we were doing. He was screwing around with us, and we said, enough's enough, no moss, and we went and got him. But originally this started as a problem of European colonization, and the way Britain was going around, like India and everywhere else it was taken, China and all the other trips. So we were like, don't come down in our hemisphere and screw with Venezuela or Argentina or Brazil or Cuba and try and take it over. So that was really what that was all about. And of course, after Bush, we had Carter, who gave away the Panama Canal. Mm-hmm. And I think that's when we were done. After Bush and going after Noriega, I don't think we have done anything as a country to reinforce the concept of the Monroe Doctrine.
Wow. I mean, one of the
that's my nutshell on that.
Yep. And I wanted to speak with you briefly about the Cuban Missile Crisis, because that was the one.
I didn't do it.
Yes, you did. Well, Russia and Khrushchev believed that they had the right, by invitation of Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, to support a revolution which was anti-Republican. And I do mean that with the little r, not the big R, anti-Republican and also anti-Monroe Doctrine. And it was Kennedy who said that we need to get them out of here, and we'll surround them so that they actually die on the vine before they ever enter into another relationship with Russia. But years later, Cuba is distressed, broken, and Russia is still a friend to it. Were we successful with Kennedy in that regard?
Well, I would tell you, I think Khrushchev, who was invited by Fidel and those guys, had every right to do what he was doing.
Really?
If you think about it, think about this. Cuba is not America. It's not a territory. We don't control or own it. They were independent. They had their own government, and they have every right to do what they want. Up to the point where they started sticking missiles with nukes on it. Now, I think they have the right to do that because they're a sovereign nation. Mm-hmm. And if we have a right to do it because we're a sovereign nation, and we want to stick a nuke in Florida to send down to Cuba, then we have a right to do that. So why don't they have a right to do it? We invoked the Monroe Doctrine, Kennedy did, and said, you know what? You don't have a right to do this crap here. It's in our hemisphere. And that's what we use to justify preventing them from doing it. But honestly, how do you tell another sovereign nation they don't have a right to do what they want to do in their own borders for their own defense? Now, I don't company. So I mean, let's be honest. But shy of declaring war on Cuba and taking them out, which is probably what we should have done, and then reestablished a government. Made it a territory like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
It probably would have been smarter, but I mean, how do you tell a sovereign nation that they don't have a right to do what they want to do in their own borders? We certainly would not entertain Cuba telling us we couldn't put a nuke in Florida aimed at them any more than Russia has a right to tell us we can't, have 300 nukes aimed at them. So as a big proponent of sovereign belief, I have a problem with telling other countries what they have to do and what they can't do. And this is what trade and negotiation are all about, and the diplomatic corps of the State Department. And failing that, then if they don't do what we want to do, then we just have to go and kick their ass with the military.
See, but that...
And there's no one that can... There's no military that can stand up to us if the government unleashes us and gets out of our way. No one can stand up against the military. Not Russia, not China, not Cuba.
Exactly. We're talking tonight with Dr. Michael Jones, my very good friend, my bestest friend, and he is the underground professor down in Fort Worth, Texas. And he loves to invite me when I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, to eat dinner with him. And he allows me to eat his steak and his pork chops and his hamburgers.
And steak. And carrot cake. And salad. And bread.
I was still hungry when I left there.
I was afraid you were going to eat Smokey's burger too.
I was eyeing it. I really was.
You were giving it the stink eyes what you were doing.
I'm a man with an incredible appetite and a great appetite for conservative talk and conservative news. You're listening to us live right now on SHR Media.
Are you kidding me, Ken? You're the only person I've ever seen gain weight going up in an elevator.
That's probably because I was eating everyone's gum on the way up.
Yeah, well, all the ones that were stuck under the table.
Yeah.
Now, what does he tell me? Ladies and gentlemen, I kid you not. He looks over at me. There's a pork chop, an entire pork chop in his mouth, and he looks over and says, "Don't forget to tell Peaches I had salad." I like to die laughing.
Listen, lady.
He had solid Peaches.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you didn't give it away. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, who are listening to us on SHR Media Live and High Plains Pundit Media Live, I want to thank you all so much for doing that and watching via Ustream, live stream, and all the other venues that we're operating on. But this is an excellent opportunity for you to start planning to lunch with us, dine with us in Las Vegas next year at Freedom Fest, which is July the 17th through the entire weekend. William Shatner is the keynote speaker at Freedom Fest. I'm going to tell you all right now, right around January, I'm going to get my Jockey Club suite. And everyone else will be staying at that little nice Eiffel Tower place, the Paris, and having a wonderful time. But I'll be at the Jockey Club. But I'm going to encourage you all to start planning for it right now. Get your tickets while they're cheap. Get your airfare while it's cheap and your room fare. And I'm going to tell you, I love the Jockey Club. And other people have other places they want to stay. That's great. But wherever you do, whatever you do, do it now while it's less expensive. You'll be so much better off. Also want to say one other thing, because you're probably in the Euro Pacific Bank Limited TECS chat room. And for those who are listening to us overseas in Europe and Asia, Australia, and Africa, and the Antarctic, and the Arctic if you're there as well, and Canada, and South America, and Central America, and Mexico, wherever you are in the world, except the U.S., you have this great benefit. You now can have a gold, silver-backed account through the Perth Mint Australia Bank, Australia Mint, forgive me, and actually you can open it up at Euro Pacific Bank. You can do that right online. You only have to do is click one of the pictures on the front page of the Exceptional Conservative Show or wherever you see the Euro Pacific Bank. But for $500 minimum deposit, you can open up a gold, silver banked account. Why is that great? Because, however, in today's world, it does not act well as a medium of exchange. Those who want purchasing power, the fiat currencies of today, but are still used predominantly for exchange. Euro Pacific Bank has introduced the world's first gold and silver debit card to solve this problem. Now, in a cost-effective manner, clients can have a bank account denominated in gold and or silver that has a debit card associated with it. Euro Pacific Bank's precious metals backed account and debit cards are the complete solution for precious metals investors. Clients will maintain access to their purchasing power despite what local capital restrictions or government controls may be imposed. If you want to leave the country, there is no need to travel with physical metal holdings when card access is available to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're planning to travel from around the world to Freedom Fest in July of next year, start your trip by getting a gold, silver-backed account with Euro Pacific Bank. Quickly go directly to our front page. You click right on to Euro Pacific Bank and open up your account. It doesn't take very long. And once you do, you're going to have the safety and the assurances of gold and silver, not loans and fiat currencies. Now, that is the end of all the commercials that we're going to do on this night's show. I know the professor is disappointed with that. But in line of what we're talking about tonight, it's foreign policy. How does the rest of the world see us? Because a lot of people are putting their faith and confidence in Donald John Trump, and we're going with this premise of nation first, America first. However, there's a quick question that we need to ask ourselves, and that quick question is, what type of president should we have that represents the Americas? And that's going on the Manifest Destiny, the Monroe Doctrine, the Reagan Doctrine, that we are to protect our hemisphere and to keep out foreign intervention. But somehow that's been twisted in such a fashion where now we are nation building. We are using our military for hospital care and treatment of medical conditions around the country. I don't know if we are using our military in such a fashion where we are nation first any longer and protectors of South America, Central America, Canada, and the rest of the northern and southern hemisphere of North and South America. So tonight, talking with the underground professor, Dr. Michael Jones, there is one issue that I'm going to broach with you for just a short term, and then we'll come back to that maybe next week. But the whole idea of trade. And our founding fathers started off trade with this concept out of, I believe it's Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution. And in that particular portion, it basically stated that we were not supposed to charge a tariff. And let me just get that, because I had it just right here for a moment, and then it just escaped me. But we were not supposed to have tariffs at all. We were supposed to be a free market economy. In fact, it's Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. It says, no tax or duty shall be laid on articles exported from any state. No preference shall be given by any regulation of commerce or revenue to the ports of one state over those of another, nor shall vessels bound to or from one state be obliged to enter, clear, or pay duties to another. So we're not supposed to charge each other a tariff. But for some odd reason, we have decided that the whole concept of free trade doesn't work. We have to charge other nations. And I want to get your opinion regarding free trade and why our nation forsakes it by using tariffs.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I heard you say you wanted to ask me, and then I kind of zoned out on something.
That's okay. That's okay. You choose your dogs over me. I'm okay with that.
They're all outside. They've been outside for 2 days.
Why?
So yeah.
Why?
Well, their honest reason is because the girls are all allergic to their dog hair.
Oh.
And I've been trying to clean it up. Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's.
They come over and they just start itching like crazy.
Oh, I know those dogs are talking about you, man.
Yeah, they're not happy with me. Trust me.
Choosing a woman over us. I thought we were friends. Well, Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution says that our states are not supposed to charge a tariff one to another or tax one another on commerce.
Yeah, interstate.
Yeah. Now, well, how does that work in terms of the internet tax, sales tax? How does that work?
Well, Texas can't do that to Oklahoma, but it doesn't say that the central government can't. You know, once we allow the government to tax everything it wants, and it taxes everything, then we don't have an argument there anymore. But Texas can't say Oklahoma has to pay a tariff to ship Ford trucks into Texas or something like that, or pumpkins or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the deal with that. And but the central government is different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
see, but this is my thing. Wouldn't it be better if we didn't have a state and federal tax on commerce? If we were just able to sell one to another our goods, wouldn't that free us up financially to be more profitable as a nation?
Oh, well, yeah. What is government offering here? Are they providing a value-added service? I think not. They're taking money out of the system, and they cost us compliance costs and regulatory costs and oversight costs and everything else that they do. And of course it would be better. And plus this, Ken, let's take things like, professor, the country's too complicated. We have to have big government. What about food inspection? Well, everybody wants to eat good food, right? We don't want to have to worry about it. But how many times do you hear that Bluebell ice cream had salmonella?
Yeah.
And and this was with inspections. How many times do you hear about Legionnaire's disease in some hotel? This is with inspections. The Food and Drug Administration and whatever other 50 ancillary organizations of the government that do redundant work do not do it efficiently, effectively, or cost effectively either. They're just not adequate. The Food and Drug Administration, with our medicines, make it so hard that life-saving drugs take a decade or two to get approved and so expensive that we're sitting around bitching about them because they charge $100 a pill, but without any understanding of the compliance costs they have to go through to get it approved. And there's nothing that shows in our surveys that, in the research, that we live any better because of. There's just as many people who die or have reactions and stuff to approved medicines as there ever was. So they're not statistically keeping us safer. And you can make the argument that these experimental things that people like me with my back injury were willing to take.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the testing of Ultram when they did that. And I said, I don't care what it does to me. If it helps my pain, I'll take it. I was in desperate need of pain removal. And there's a lot of people like that with cancers and other problems. And the Food and Drug Administration won't let us take the risk for a cure because there may be something unsafe about the medicine, and it's not their damn business, to
Yeah.
be quite honest. So the government intrudes and compliance costs and regulatory costs and everything. You're right. We would be much better off. And get this, the Constitution was written with the assumption that the states would have those interests for us, and they would take care of it. So we don't need a central government doing that, usurping the powers, and we don't need them trying to make a one-size-fits-all for everything in our country.
Exactly. This is one of the things I have a fear of in terms of the administration to come. I am not a proponent of tariffs. To be earnest with everyone, I just let everyone know right off the bat, I am probably one of the most free market, free trade persons you will ever run into. I really do not like the federal government intervening in commerce, because commerce was supposed to be the weapon of choice by the founding fathers. At least I believe, and the professor will correct me if I'm wrong.
Maybe I could jump in there real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Tell you that the founding fathers believed that commerce was something the government should be involved in, but not in the way it is today.
Yeah.
Their belief was that the central government, and let's distinguish that from the state governments, because we are a federated republic, right?
Federated Constitutional Republic.
That's right, constitutionally federated republic. The Constitution says that the part of the federation, the central government, was to regulate commerce between the other part of the federated government, the state governments. Because what was happening under the Articles of Confederation is that New York was saying, you know what, Pennsylvania, you can't, send discount manure into our state for farmers. And, and that was making the Pennsylvania manure farmers angry, and so they got mad, and so Pennsylvania says, well, you know what, you can't send pumpkins down to Pennsylvania. And so they had trade wars going on. Or they wouldn't recognize their currency, or they wouldn't recognize, any, on and on and on. And so the founding fathers, the framers, rather, of the Constitution said, if we want trade to exist, which is a good thing, and free enterprise to exist, because this is how people will accumulate wealth, then we have to make free trade between the states a factor. And so the regulation of commerce, and we have something in the Constitution called the Commerce Clause. It is abused and misused today, but its goal was to make free trade amongst the states. Not tariffs, not restrictions, and not regulations. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think I just sucked in a feather.
And this whole concept of tariff against nations, 35%, because you choose to find a more profitable way to produce your product and then sell it to the world. Shouldn't our interest be to become so competitive that we don't worry about nations or companies leaving America? We have to worry about finding space for all the countries that come, all the nations that come, or businesses that come to this nation.
There was a time when that was true. Now we have a mass exodus because of regulations and compliance costs and taxes and franchising and all the other things government gets involved in. There was also a time when government was constitutional, and it wasn't big, and it didn't need a lot of money, and we made foreign governments pay for our government by tariffs and stuff. But today, here's what's going to happen. Trump says, you know what, we're going to slap tariffs on China because they're not fair, and because they're manipulating their currency, which is illegal and it's wrong, and I don't doubt that. But if we start jacking back with trade wars, then that's exactly what's going to happen. And all the people who shop at Walmart and everything you buy at Walmart's made in China, all of a sudden those things are going to be like Neiman Marcus prices. There's going to be a backlash. And, our cheap junk that we buy here is not going to be cheap. That will anger people. There's better ways to do what Trump wants to do, I think, than a trade war. And, and those escalations. But it remains to be seen what Trump is going to do and what he's going to be like as a president. If he's, I am hoping that what happens is Trump, the office, it's like this. Ronald Reagan refused to go into the Oval Office at 2 in the morning without putting on his check.
Yeah.
Of course, Bill Clinton showed up in a tracksuit.
Yeah.
But Reagan honored the office. And he said that the office of president, not the Oval Office, but the office of president, changes a person if you take it seriously. It makes you more than who you are because of the mantle you're assuming with all the people in the history that have gone before you in that office. And it makes you mature and grow up. And this is why they all have gray hair after 2 years. It's because the burden of that office is incredible. I think when Trump becomes president and he's sitting in an Oval Office, that he will change. And that he will be a statesman. And I think, God help me, because I sure did not think this a month ago, but I think Trump may actually become one of the greatest statesmen of America, or he'll become one of the worst. And we'll be making jokes that Carter, Obama, and Trump are trying to fight for who's going to be the worst president in history. But I think there's a very good chance that he may become an excellent statesman. And because he's going to take that office and the mantle of it, and it will change him.
I agree with you wholly. And I just want to add this before we do the spiritual point of this. And next Thursday night, I don't know what your schedule is, but we're going to go live. I hope that you would join us. If not, I know that you got children and everything you got to take care of. And a woman that's going to cook for you. Huh?
Well, we're going to do our Thanksgiving afternoon because we always do it around the Cowboy game.
Oh, gee.
Because while we're giving thanks to God, there's no better way than to give thanks to God's team.
It's not God's team. The Redskins.
Amen.
The Redskins.
Amen. And pass the giblets, baby. The Redskins don't play on Thanksgiving.
You know what,
Cowboys.
Professor? I look forward to someday having Thanksgiving dinner with you. I really do.
I don't know if my hand can survive it. But that would be fun. You come down here, we'll do it.
Oh, most certainly.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, so
I
next.
will try enjoying your Thanksgiving night if that's what you're asking.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, because I can't imagine doing New Day Black and Red without you.
No, I bet you can.
Yeah. No, I cannot.
I imagine there's quite a few people out there who say, come on, Ken, try it. Just try it.
Oh, no. It takes an intellectual genius, and I'm not one of those.
Yeah, well, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Besides the money, the rock and roll, the sex, your intellectual geniuses really suffer.
It's a burden. It's a burden. When you're the guy on the island, the reactor on the coconut shells to save Gilligan once again, it's a burden.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk with you briefly about taxes. And taxes, yes.
Oh, I was going to say, to prevent my interrupting you from doing this, I'm gonna sign off because I'm doing some research on this West Texas legal aid stuff.
Okay, good.
And I'll give everybody an update Sunday. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
Terrific.
And thanks for your advice too. I appreciate it. Your prayers, that would help. And we'll see everybody Sunday 16th. Promise.
Awesome. Blog Talk Radio, the Underground Professor, undergroundprofessor.us. God bless you, sir. Have a wonderful weekend.
Good night, guys. Bye, Ken.
Bye. Just want to go over real quick, because this Sunday at 9 a.m. we do an American Conservatives exploration of the inspired Word of God, and I get into a greater talk about the Sermon on the Mount, but I want to talk with you tonight about taxes. And I want you to understand where I see a president when it comes to his people. And I want you to take a look at it in the eyes of Jesus. And now a lot of people say, well, wait, but he didn't get into no politics. He wasn't a Republican. He wasn't a Democrat. No, he wasn't. But I want you to listen to what he says in verses of Scripture regarding how we should treat each other as well as our neighbor, and our neighbor being other nations. I want you to go to Matthew 17, verse 24 for a moment. And I want you to take a look at that particular scripture. I want you to see the fact that there are those who, no matter who you say you are, want you to pay taxes. It doesn't matter if you are Jesus the Christ. They want you to pay taxes. Just like the church of today, there are progressives and Marxists and socialists out there that do not like the fact that you have a 501c3 and that you don't even need a 501c3 because constitutionally the church predates the Constitution itself. Thus, it does not have to pay taxes. But they don't want to tell you that. What they want to do is regulate you out of your faith and put your confidence and trust in men. Matthew 17:24, and when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, doth not your master pay tribute? I want to do one quick thing to show you what we do on Sunday mornings, but I want you to take a look at the concept of tribute. Tribute is this particular lexicon.
Strong's G 1323. D-drachman. D-drachman.
D-drachman. I'm telling you, if you learn it, you'll never forget it. Double drachma, which was a silver coin equal to 2 Attic drachmas or 1 Alexandrian. It was 1/2 of a shekel. The expectation of that was that you honored the state that you were in. You honored the kingdom that you were in. You honored the nation that you were in by paying taxes. So when you have a modern day vice president that tells you it's patriotic to pay higher taxes, you understand the concept of where Jesus and Peter were at this moment. The question being put to Jesus at this point was not simply, does he pay taxes? It was, does he feel it honorable to pay taxes? I want you to watch how Jesus responds in this moment. Jesus says to him, he saith, yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, what thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, of strangers. Jesus saith unto him, then are the children free. Matthew 17:27, notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast a hook, and take up the fish that first cometh up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money, that lake, and give unto them for me and thee. Jesus paid taxes because he didn't wish to offend those that were in authority. But he made it very plain and very clear for all of us, and for all of those who voted Donald J. Trump into the presidency. I hope he's listening tonight. Are the children free? Free trade, free market, zero taxes. And then let's ask ourselves, in 4 years, are we better off than we were 4 years ago? Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for tuning in tonight to New Day Black and Red, program that gives you a spiritual and constitutional viewpoint of the day's matters. If you have not listened to anything I said, and I hope you listen to this. Always remember, God bless America. It is now time for America to bless God. We'll see you on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for an American Conservatives exploration of the inspired Word of God. Good night.
You can talk about the pit, barbecue, the band was jumping, the people too. Mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around. Everybody's doing the mess around. Everybody was juice. You can bet your soul. They did the boogie for the study roll. They mess around. They're doing the mess around. They're doing the mess around.